Yo, what up guys? Welcome back to Sneaker Stories. As always, I'm your host Chris Jack. Today, a review I know a lot of you have been waiting for me to do for quite some time. It's one of probably my all-time grails, a shoe that I never actually thought I would get my hands on personally, let alone in my own collection. Without further ado, let's check out Adidas's 3D Runner. Alright, so for this particular review, we have to rewind things back to around 2015, where the first leaked images of the Adidas 3D Runner took to the internet. It was pretty much like the height of Adidas hype, like Ultra Boost was booming, like Yeezy was coming in hot. There was so much excitement in and around Adidas, and to see something like this, which at that time, before we had seen 4D and all the other sort of technological innovations that the brands have come up with and innovated into, this absolutely just blew everyone away. Like a 3D printed shoe, what? That just seemed completely ridiculous to have. This was the step in the direction from Adidas Technologies to really innovate themselves and push themselves with one goal in mind of being able to have customers come into a store, get on a treadmill for a little bit and be able to custom print a unique shoe or midsole created specifically for them. And this is what kicked everything off. This is why we see things like 4D, and we'll get into this in the review. But this is just such a special pair for me to own because it really does tell the story of the innovation from Adidas Technologies perspective. The whole backstory behind this pair is incredibly secretive. Each individual part was made in a different factory or a different part of the world, as far as I understand. So people who were making the midsoles, people who were doing stuff, no one actually knew what they were working on. At least that's the story that's going around. They had to do that in order to keep things completely secret, I guess, from competitors, because a step like this is a massive step for a company like Adidas. It's a completely new way of looking at things and trying to use modern day technology, incorporating them into things that we have used forever, i.e. shoes. But before we look into the details of the 3D Runner, this shoe was incredibly limited. It was rumored to only be 200 of these in the world. The release only happened in 2016 and was limited to New York, London and Tokyo. I think London only had 50 pairs if I'm not mistaken, so I would imagine the rest of the split would have been between New York and Tokyo, or maybe Tokyo 50 and New York with the rest of the pairs. Who knows? Either way, they are super limited and incredibly valuable on the aftermarket due to the limited nature and just due to this particular process not being available anymore. Like, you can't go and buy another 3D shoe. They won't do this again, at least as far as I'm concerned. I don't think that they would use this technology, so this is like a piece of history more than anything else. But into the details of the shoe, and starting with the outsole, you can really see the prototype nature in here. It does have an Ultra Boost outsole on it, and you can really see that 3D midsole right through. It's got all these openings that you would get from a normal Ultra Boost. This is something that they had on the first sort of prototype 4D models, but again, more into that later. The 3D substrate that they've used here is completely insane. It's kind of like this dusty, kind of rough finish to it. It's super raw. It's like so prototypey. It's incredible. It almost feels like it's going to just break, like you could snap these little struts or whatever, but it's not. Like, I put these on foot now and they're surprisingly more comfortable than I was expecting. But it's just incredible how they were able to find a way to 3D print a full midsole and still have some kind of energy return or bounce back or squishiness, if you'd call it that, in it. It's just, and obviously without breaking. So like, that must have taken a hell of a lot of research and like trial and error to find something that was really going to work underfoot, especially if you like 100 kgs or something and putting the shoe on without it like completely crumbling. And further to the 3D printed parts of the shoe, a lot of people have asked me, like, is the entire shoe 3D printed? It's not. It's literally only the midsole and the heel cup section over here. And this is really cool. It almost looks like it's got a fingerprint on it, and that's just those layers and layers and layers and layers of basic 3D printing to create that structure. So that's visible here in the lateral and in the medial side of the shoe. One thing, it is quite difficult to keep that like clean, like any sort of brush against it or something is going to like basically scratch that 3D printed material. But this is one of the shoes that I don't think I'm going to be doing much like walking and stuff like that in. I really want to preserve them as a piece of history in my collection. The rest of the upper over here was just inspired, I guess, from Ultra Boost back then. It's pretty much the same construction of what what you were getting in a 1.0 Ultra Boost there with slight variation, and the width in the ventilation spots that you've got right throughout the primed upper. But up towards the top here, it's the same kind of thing that you would have got on the Ultra Boost with the Adidas Performance logo. That is on both of the shoes. And then lacing, completely uncaged here, so the laces just go straight through the primed. It's a set of black rope laces, and you've got these beautiful matte black metal aglets at the end of those. And then just taking a look inside of the shoe, you do get 2 sets of insoles with this particular pair. So the one set is just a black set. It's got a lot of these massive like kind of holes throughout, so really getting aeration. You'd pretty much feel the aeration coming right through the midsole of the shoe, through the insole to your foot with a big Adidas Performance logo. It is the same on the opposite side. However, they do also provide you, I don't really know what the point of this is, but they give you another set of insoles, and this time it's just a red set. There's no real difference between the two, at least that I can see. Maybe it's just in case these wear out and you want to get a fresh pair, you can put them in, but no like real functional difference that I can see between these two insoles. Then just back onto the details in the upper here, you do have 3 stripes which have just been painted on to the primed upper there. It's very, very faint. It's not something that necessarily stands out. However, it is overlaid with a 3M kind of material, so you are going to get reflection under flash in certain lighting conditions and just going to pop off that completely tonal black upper. So overall speaking, it's definitely a really awesome piece of history to own, as it really was like the starting point for the entire 4D category that we see behind us. I think the reason that they ditched 3D, or maybe just used this as a stepping stone to understand the technology more and what was necessary to produce these things at scale, was an important part of the puzzle, because I think with 3D printing, the process can be quite slow. It's not something that's generally scalable, I guess. You would have to have a hell of a lot of machines working around the clock to produce something like this that you were going to release like generally, I guess, or try and reach as many people as possible with the technology. And that's why I think the step to carbon printing with the 4D materials was definitely something that was going to be more durable, a little bit more comfortable underfoot, and just allow for maybe more changes at speed and rapid production of the technology. So this, I guess, I look at this as more of a prototype in the building block to getting to where we are currently with the technology. I think like to be able to reach that goal of printing individualized midsoles for consumers, I guess, as they said back in 2015 was the goal, to basically be able to customize and get maximum energy return and performance return per individual consumer, rather than just having like a blanket kind of midsole, one size fits all kind of thing. So yeah, it's really awesome to have this pair. The box itself, this is what all 4Ds came in the beginning. It's like the Adidas pull-out Futurecraft box. So just in the side of there, it's just like black normal tissue paper that you get, and the rest of the box is completely blacked out. The label over here, Adidas 3D Runner. It is a unisex pair, so I do have a UK 9.5. I think it did only come in half sizes as well, just because of the limited production nature of this pair. There is one other colorway of the 3D Runner which never released to public. It was a friends and family only exclusive, and it is the most beautiful pair that I've ever seen. I've been trying to find a pair for literally 5 years now, but haven't been lucky enough as yet. And it's this beautiful white sort of creamy colorway, as you guys will see there with the overlay. So yeah, that's definitely on the hit list for me, as it also is just a piece of history that I would really, really want. And I'm just obsessed with the coloring on that and the midsole coloring as well. Now, these did retail quite high for $333. Not really sure if that was just like a made up price, like $333 for 3 stripes or whatever. But yeah, that's what they sold for. If you do want to get a pair of these now on the aftermarket, you're going to be looking at paying anywhere between like $3,000 to $5,000. And that was the last check on StockX I saw. However, some places like Goat have them even higher. So there are only a few units left available, pairs that haven't been worn. So to have a DS pair of these is incredibly special. From a sizing perspective, I have fitted these on at a half size up at a UK 9.5 from my true to size. They do actually fit me pretty good. So I would probably suggest just taking that half size up and not going the half size down like I would normally suggest with 4D stuff, especially with the runners. But this is not really one of those shoes where, in my opinion, size really matters, because I don't think many people are going to be wearing these on the daily. It's more of a collector's item, something for the shelf or the collection at least, than like an everyday beater. But that's it for this little review of the Adidas 3D Runner. Once again, just super chuffed that I have this pair in the collection. Something that I didn't think would ever happen, because they are just so rare to have. But as you can tell, super into the Adidas technology with 4D and whatever, so to have a piece of this puzzle is just incredible. If you guys did enjoy this review, please give it a thumbs up. If you've got any questions about this pair or any other pairs that I've reviewed, please drop them in the comment section below. I'll do my best to get back to you as soon as possible. Otherwise, if you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button right here for more content, early unboxings and reviews down the line. But that's all from me for today, guys. I'll catch you on the next one.